We're pleased to be joined by Dr. Madelaine Feldman. Many of us know her from her many leadership roles in the policymaking world, including current president of the Coalition of State Rheumatology Organizations, CSRO. And today, though, she's joining us in her role as chair of the Alliance for Safe Biologic Medicines. Welcome, Dr. Feldman.
Thank you for having me, Gavin. It's a pleasure to be here.
So your organization is coming out with a new study, which you are a co-author on, titled The U.S. Biosimilar Market on Pace with Europe. Can you tell us why your organization decided to undertake this study?
Sure. There's been this sort of meme that the U.S. is behind Europe in terms of biosimilar development, biosimilar uptake, what's the problem with the United States. So we thought we would take a look at the real numbers and see, does that hold water? Where do we stand when it comes to Europe? So I think one of the things that you have to remember is that the implementation of the biosimilar approval pathway started in Europe in 2004. Ours did not start till 2010. And so in their 10 years, they approved 13 biosimilars. In the last 10 years for the US, we approved 28. 18 of those coming within the last 2 years. So in terms of actually approving biosimilars, I would say that the US is a little bit ahead. And it sort of goes against the party line these days.
Yeah, it does. There's always been a question about where we stand in comparison to Europe. And, I think we all knew that they started earlier, but at the same time, doing kind of an apples to apples comparison is very helpful. What do you think policymakers should take away from the findings of this study?
Well, I think we should be very optimistic and not try to go overboard in terms of trying to induce the use of biosimilars. I agree the FDA has done a great job in terms of education. When you look at various surveys, we see that physicians are really pretty up to date on biosimilars. And we've always said that, the choice of treatment should be between the physician and the patient. And various types of, let's say, incentives that don't include cost savings for the patients, I think can sometimes backfire. The one thing that's so important about having biosimilars is increasing affordability for the patients. So I think in terms of policy, if we can find a way to translate those biosimilar savings to the patient, we'll see a lot more uptake.
Have we seen any examples or disease states where uptake has been successful of biosimilar medicines?
Absolutely, absolutely. The group that first came out, the filgrastim group, the biosimilar has up to 70% penetrance in the market. And then a few of the oncology biosimilars up to 40%. In rheumatology that I practice, we're only at about 20%, but we've still seen with the number of biosimilars out there competing with the reference product, a really important reduction in ASP pricing and the pricing of both the biosimilars and the reference product. But rheumatology is only at about 20% now.
Do you know why, or do you have ideas of why rheumatology uptake is slower?
Well, we do have just that one product. And, if you look at Europe, they have both the self-injectable as well as the provider administered reference product and biosimilars on the market. And probably the largest use in rheumatic diseases are the self-injectables. So in spite of the fact that we have 4 or 5 biosimilar self-injectables approved, they have not yet launched. So they won't be launched until 2023. So I think when 2023 comes and when we have that large number of self-injectables hitting the market, I think we're going to see a much bigger uptake in terms of the rheumatic diseases.
So it's just a timing issue for now. One last question is, why is a robust biosimilars marketplace important for patients?
It needs to be robust because that will create competition. And when you create competition, most of the time it lowers the prices. Affordability is so hard with these biologics. And, even with biosimilars, patients will have a hard time affording it without some type of insurance coverage. But as the prices come down, we'll see patients' cost share come down. And I think that's the most important part. And that robust marketplace will help with that.
Well, thank you for joining us and giving us a top line. Where can people who want to read the full study find it?
Well, you can find it in the GaBI Journal, GABI.
Thank you, Dr. Feldman. We appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you again for having me, Gavin.